and welcome back to Why This Film, the podcast where we pick a movie from your childhood, rewatch it, have a chat about it, and just have a good old time. I'm your host, Emily Slade, and welcome back. You watched it so many times before, and now you're gonna watch it again. But it's been so many years since you last saw it, and now you show it to your friends, and they're like, what?
What am I watching?
Why this?
What is
What?
this?
Why this film? And I'm joined today by Lucy. Hello, Lucy.
Hello.
Hello. And your movie this week is Help! I'm a Fish.
It is.
The IMDb breakdown says 3 children accidentally get turned into fish after drinking a potion made by an eccentric scientist. The kids end up in the sea with one problem. They must find and drink the antidote within 48 hours or forever remain a fish. That is a very in-depth
Breakdown.
full summary there. And yet very accurate. What is your relationship with this movie?
It's one of those ones that I've completely forgotten existed until a couple of weeks ago when somebody on Facebook reposted like a quote from it, basically saying like, does anyone remember this film? Because I feel like I'm the only one that watched it. Does it actually exist?
Yeah.
And I'd commented on it like, oh my god, this film is like elite top tier films that people should know about.
Yeah.
But don't.
Yeah.
But clearly do. So I used to watch it when I was about 8, 9, I feel.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, did it have a cinematic release? Would you have seen it in cinemas?
No, I wouldn't.
No.
So I will have watched it later after it came out, because I know it came out in Denmark first.
Yes, it did.
And then it had, the following year it had its UK or US release, and then the following year vice versa. So it came out in the UK a lot later than it did in Denmark.
Yeah.
But it was recorded for me on VHS.
Oh, amazing.
But like, as in, so, you know, when you literally used to like,
Record
your
it
parents
onto
would
the-
record it onto
yeah.
the tape. Yeah, and I think it was like at the end of a load of other episodes of like SpongeBob or something.
Oh, amazing.
So I'd be watching SpongeBob and then get to the end and be like, oh, this cracking film.
Here we go.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I remember seeing the posters for this movie a lot. We would get the Beano and the Dandy, and there was a year where this was like prominently advertised, and it would always have like a whole page to itself of the poster. But I never actually watched it. And then when I did a bit of research, you're right. What they did was they re-released it in the US and the UK to try and they redubbed the actors, and then they tried to jump off the Shark Tale bandwagon.
Oh god, because was it right after that?
Yeah, it was right around Shark Tale, and they were like, oh shit, cool, this will be popular, quick, get it out. I have to tell you which movie I prefer. It's this one.
It's so good.
It was lovely.
It is. It's
just
really weird and quite dark.
Oh,
But it's like,
it ticks all those like almost 90s animation boxes, and yet it was released in the 2000s. It's an animated musical. It's got a cracking theme song, which you will know.
oh my god, I'm a little fish in the deep blue sea.
Like, I was literally singing it in the kitchen like 2 seconds ago, and Flo was like, I know that song. It was number 11 in Top of the Pops.
Was
Like,
it?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's so good.
Yeah, because it's when I did a little bit of research into it, they're like a Swedish pop band or a Danish pop band or something.
Yeah, the Danish duo Creamy released it for this thing.
Quality name.
And then the Little Trees did the like US, UK like cover of it. But like, you listen to it's one recording of the song, and it goes from 2 women miming to it to 3 women miming to it, but it's the same recording of the song. Like, it is like it was bizarre. I was like, how are they getting away with it? Whatever. It's great. It's wonderful. It's up there. The rest of the songs within the movie, I have to say, aren't as memorable.
No, I mean, that one's got the catchy bop to it.
Yeah, that one.
But like the opening music, as soon as I started watching it, I was like, oh my god, it's so beautiful.
It is.
Like the opening credits, I guess, are really stunning.
If you've ever seen Ponyo, it's very similar to that, but like almost better, because Ponyo is quite childish, whereas this is like you're just going through the ocean with all these different fish, and this music's playing, and you're just going, and
It's when they go in the circle like that with the turtle in the middle and the fish in like the cylinder around it, and you're like sweeping through. And also the animation, I think, is pretty good.
It's really good.
Like, I don't know whether, because what I really like about it is the contrast in the animation between like the very 2D almost hand-drawn animation of when they're fish and they speak, and then the like CGI fish when they don't speak. When they're, you know, stupid.
Yeah.
Just fish, literally just fish. And then they kind of turn into like the more flat 2D version.
Yeah, once they become animated.
Yeah.
I said, like, literally,
Wow.
in every sense. Deep. So we follow Fly.
Yes.
And his sister Stella. And their cousin Chuck. Who, in the re-release, was dubbed over by then unknown actor Aaron Paul.
Literally. When I saw that on the cast list, I was like, what? And I was like, oh, he must have been Fly. No.
Oh, yeah, same. I thought the exact same thing, and I was watching it, and I was like, no, the jellyfish is Aaron Paul. Like, what the fuck is this? So there's Fly is the, like, you know, he goes fishing, which is an odd hobby, but, you know, whatever.
But they are Danish, I feel, so I feel like maybe...
Because
as a kid, obviously, watching it, I was like, where the hell do they live?
Yeah.
Because it's quite remote, and you see, like, a lighthouse, and then all the sky's, like, this beautiful oranges and pink colour and stuff.
That's
when
so
they go
true.
out to the rocks and start fishing. And I was looking at it going, like, where are they? And then I remembered, well, it's a Danish film, so I guess they're living by the sea in Denmark.
In Denmark. That's such a good point. I didn't even consider that.
But he does skateboard, so he's a cool kid.
Yeah,
and he
he's
has
the
a
cool
baseball
kid.
cap.
Baseball cap and skateboard, so that's Fly. And then Chuck has his, like, computer where he's doing, like, science.
Yeah.
And, like, pushing his glasses up his nose. And then Stella's just, like, the girl representative, so she can be anything she wants to be. And she's,
Clearly.
like, the baby.
Strong, independent woman baby, though.
Oh, yeah, cute as well.
She is.
Lovely voice actress. And they get into some hijinks where they eventually end up meeting. So when they redubbed this movie, they were clearly so fucking chuffed that they'd managed to get not only Terry Jones, who plays the professor and is a Monty Pythoner, but Alan Rickman. Because my God, do they push that Alan Rickman is in this movie. It is across every piece of marketing, every poster, every end of, like, the end of the theme song. They're like, this movie starring Alan Rickman and Terry Jones. And you're like, we get it. You got Alan. And he's great. He's doing a great job. But, like, other people are in this movie too. It's okay.
And he has such a recognisable voice.
Yeah.
But because I basically forgot this film existed until a couple of weeks ago, when I then saw the cast, I was like, oh my God, that's his voice. That's him. It's Alan Rickman.
It's Snape.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. So but
He's
before
great,
we
though.
meet Alan, we meet Terry Jones as the professor.
As the musical singing fish man.
Yeah, he's, like, invented a song to help him remember the potion. Because this movie is so relevant. I watched it this week, where we've been having the UN summit and
Climate change.
Everyone's harassing Greta Thunberg on social media, and it makes me so sad and angry. And this movie is literally like, he's like, so basically what's happening is global warming is real, and this is going to thing, and eventually the whole world is going to flood and we're all going to be underwater. So I've invented a potion where we all just live as fish.
Yes.
And that's the future. The future is fish. And I was like, fucking hell, this is
So
ridiculously relevant.
Yeah, when I watched it, I was like, climate change.
Yeah.
It's real.
It's
Denmark
more real
predicted it first.
now than it was back in '96 when this movie was first sort of originally I came up with, and it just really, like, grounded me and perhaps invited me into the movie more than if it had just been some random reason where he was, like, evil and, like, wanted to experiment his fish
Or just
potion
eccentric.
on these-
He actually had a great basis for his fish potion.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, rewatching it, when I listen to his song, I still don't know what the hell he's saying.
No,
It's really mumbled and
Yeah.
where are you cutting off that gill and putting it where?
It's, I guess, the closest thing you can put it to is Merlin's song in Sword in the Stone, where he's like, Higatus Figatus.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a sort of, like, instruction song. But it, he's like, I learnt this song to remember it. So you'd think it would be memorable.
Yeah.
You know, like, put a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But it's not. It's like, grab the thing and do the thing and then do the other
the
thing.
codfish thing and that.
Do the thing with the jellyfish. I don't know.
The chorus is the most memorable bit. Isn't it amazing? Fantastic. Fish-tastic. It's true. Isn't it amazing what science can do? That's
memorable.
That's the memorable bit. But that's not got any instructions in it.
No.
So I'd be like a fish.
fucked.
Going,
singing, like,
isn't it amazing? No, I'm going to be a fish forever.
so like, Jesus Christ, we need to make this potion. So it's clever. It's very well. I love a good plant and payoff. Like, that's the whole thing about me. It's my shtick.
Yeah.
And I love it. They turn up and Stella is like, I'm thirsty, which is why she then sees the potion and swallows it and turns into a starfish. How amazingly, on camera.
I know.
They catch it on camera, so they're able to prove it to anyone that's like, you know,
isn't
what
real.
the hell?
Well,
So that's
their parents
really
at the end.
satisfying. It was so satisfying.
Because
that
I
they put it
hate
on
when it's
camera.
the whole, like, oh, parents don't believe the kids, and, you know, oh, at the end it's like, it's such a joke that our kids think they turn into fish, but, like, the parents literally see it at the end.
Literally see it happen, and that was so much better than any other form that they could have done. And then it's so funny and awful because Fly basically finds Stella as a starfish on the floor, and he's like, oh, it's a starfish, and Chuck's like, oh, you better put that in the water.
Yeah, they'll dry out.
And Chuck's like found the camera, and he's like looking through it, and he's like, and it's such a good moment of tension because he's like, Fly, no! And I thought they were going to get it in time.
It's like,
And Fly yeets Stella out the window into the ocean.
he just fucking chucks his sister into the
Lobs
sea.
her into the sea.
It's I literally, like, wrote down, that's such a stressful moment, because you, like, watch him arch his arm back, and Chuck's running, crashes through the tank of water, and it's like, Fly, no! Stella, yeet out the water.
It's so funny and so awful, but obviously that's what kickstarts the plot, because then immediately we cut to them in a boat, like, we can't find her. So they both drink the potion and they sink to the bottom and they turn into fish.
Well, Fly drinks it because he's like a hero, and then Chuck and the professor get thrown overboard, and Chuck's like, I can't swim, so the professor's like, drink the potion!
Potion, you idiot!
Yeah.
So Stella's a starfish, Fly is a fly fish.
Got shark. With baseball cap
And
in
tuft of
fish
hair.
form.
And Stella's still got her pigtails and skirt.
Very
and
cute.
Chuck's got his glasses.
And he's a
Chuck's a
jellyfish.
jellyfish, which isn't technically a fish, but you know what, we'll let it slide.
Also, very funny that the most intelligent character is a jellyfish which has no brain.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Interesting. In the meantime, the potion has been dropped. So they have to drink this like anti-fish potion that's going to turn them all human. But obviously what it also does is it sinks to the bottom and a little bit comes out. And a passing shark. And I thought the shark was going to be the villain.
Yeah.
And this tiny little black and white fish swim past. And they take one like lick of the potion, and it, as you say, it sort of animates them to become like cartoon characters.
Yeah.
So they can talk, and they're like, oh, we can talk and we can think and we can move, and the shark becomes an Australian like dumbass.
Yeah.
Whereas the other fish, Joe, voiced by Alan Rickman, who is already a terrifying design.
Yeah,
with
he's
his
really
big
creepy.
lips and his like tuxedo-y type like.
And he's got like
fins
slicked
and-
back hair.
Yeah,
like,
it's
hair.
really
Fin.
nasty. It's really clever, but it's like there's your villain. Like there he is, spot him a mile away.
Yeah.
And he starts becoming Hitlerfish, and he's like, cool, I'm gonna like enslave all the fish and create a community, but in order to do so I need to make them intelligent so I can rule over them, blah 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 blah. So he starts doing that, so they start coming across all these fish that can now talk, and Fly starts to show his like wits and charm and stuff and gets them through scrapes. Yeah, where do we go after that?
I mean, the potion, I have to say, there's like, what, a quarter of a bottle left when it sinks to the bottom, and suddenly that's making thousands of fish.
It's
So
so
it
true.
really lasts a while.
It really lasts a while, and it gets to the point where there's like drops left for them at the end. I mean, I think he even he swallows the whole thing near the end, doesn't he? And they don't actually get to.
Yeah, because there's 3 potions in the end, because the first one is, the first one they drink, and then there's the antidote, and then the antidote gets Joe and the shark. Oh, I don't remember his name, the shark.
I wanna
Isn't
say,
he just
like,
called Shark?
Bruce or something.
Finding Nemo.
Yeah, a little bit.
I
He
don't
might
even
even
think he
just
has
be
a
called
name.
Shark.
And then there's the one that they make when Fly remembers the song.
The song, the memorable song.
Memorable song. And and I thought that one carries them through to the end, but they just don't drink it right till the end. But it doesn't. It gets drunk by the crab. The crab drinks it.
Yeah, the crab, the Nazi
Weird
crab.
army crab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
terrifying.
I have to say, like, this is sort of where it loses me. So, Stella's got this, when they were on land, they were fishing and they caught a seahorse.
Yeah.
And Stella named it. And
Sasha.
And then she had to throw it back into the water. But then, of course, they find it once they're down below.
Yeah.
And
now she can swim because obviously she's a starfish, so she just sinks.
She still rides the seahorse like it's a pony, which is funny. Oh, God. It's such a cute little seahorse.
It's very cute.
It's adorable.
The little noises that they make, it like...
It's adorable.
And then that gets enslaved.
It does. It gets horribly enslaved and nearly crushed to death. But then I think Sasha helps save the day a little bit. And then near the end, when they figure out how to get back onto land to create another potion, she has to leave Sasha behind.
Such a trope, like...
Oh, it's as bad as Artax in The Neverending Story. Like, she's like, no, Sasha, you have to stay here. And the seahorse is like,
yeah, please. And it, like, brings her little, like, treats that she was trying to get earlier.
It's so sad. I got a bit teary-eyed on the tube. I was like,
no, Sasha.
Oh, this is really sad. But then, of course, to skip to the end, to finish Sasha's arc there, Sasha finds Stella again on land, and suddenly Chuck and the professor are like, oh, we just need a DNA strand, yeah? And then
a
there's
whisper.
Puffs and some whispers. And then all of a sudden, the seahorse has been transformed into a human horse.
A real horse.
Like, what the fuck?
And, like, she's riding around giggling, and then you hear that amazing theme song coming in the background. I'm a little fish.
It's so good.
It's a bop, I must say.
But, like, how on earth did they turn that seahorse... Like, he
Into
can
a
play
real horse.
God.
Yeah, literally.
Like, oh, we just need a DNA strand. What? No, come back here.
And Chuck's just this little chubby kid that, like,
kid, yeah.
isn't going to MIT or anything. He's just... It's at the beginning, and when you're a kid and you're watching these films and, like, the sort of funny one-liners that an adult would understand just completely fly over your head.
Yeah.
And it's when Fly's like, oh, Chuck, what are you doing on your computer? And he goes, I'm calculating the length of a DNA molecule. And I'm like, oh, Chuck. Oh, you.
Of course you are. It's really lovely, though, at the end, because we see Chuck, who previously couldn't swim and obviously didn't like to leave the house.
Yeah.
After this adventure, he's suddenly climbing on all of the poles and, like, jumping into the, like,
yeah, he makes a big water slide and, like, slides
and...
down with the professor. And now the parents are all best friends with the professor.
Instead of being like, okay,
Stay
when
away.
can we take you to court? Like, you physically turned our children into fish.
But let's all be best friends.
Let's all be best friends. It is funny. It's a cute ending, though.
Well, apart from the traumatic near end.
Oh, boy. So, Joe, they figure out how to sort of get back to the professor's lab, and they're going to do it by going through the sewage system, and it's very clever and it's very tense, where they have to keep, like, blocking the sort of fans in the pipe so they don't get shredded, and they're still fish at this point, and they end up in the piranha tank, and Chuck's using his brains because he's been quite scared this whole journey, and Fly's been helping them through.
Humans up.
But he comes through. And but they're being pursued by Joe, who realises that they can take him to the next potion.
Yeah.
And they do. They get into the lab and they fight off the piranha and they're absolutely fine and they find the potion, but Joe beats them to it.
Literally.
And it's terrifying. And he grabs the potion and he fucks off into this tube. And
Yeah.
they're like, fuck, what are we going to do?
And you have to remember, obviously, that Fly at this point has been, like, mortally injured by the beefed up crab.
Yeah.
When he gets, like,
literally, like,
punched, basically.
bitch
He's bleeding.
slapped. And yeah, he's like got a hole in his chest.
Yeah.
He's really dying, and he like limps his way into this thing, and he plays a game of wits with Joe, and he's like telling him all these maths questions and all these general knowledge questions, and Joe keeps sipping the potion, becoming more and more human, obviously. It's very dark, because then Fly's like, and what happens when a fish keeps drinking this potion? And Joe's like, he'll turn human. And then he's like, and can humans breathe underwater? Of course not. Meanwhile, like, Joe has, like, while he's becoming human, he's not becoming human. He's becoming like a gargoyle.
Yeah, his
like,
brain's like popping out of his skull.
He's like this big stretched like green skin, and he's like claws for feet and like long
nails.
fingernails.
And he's kind of got like kind of werewolfy. He's got like
Yeah.
tufts of fur on the back of his like
and
legs.
His legs are sort of that sort of dog,
Yeah.
like sort of style as
course,
well,
yeah.
and then he just sort of like inhales this big bit of water, like freezes, dies,
Literally dies.
and just
Floats
off down the tunnel. And
Also,
you're like,
how is he fitting in that tunnel? How wide is that tunnel?
Also, who's gonna find him and be like, "What the shit is this? Call the police."
Well, the professor's
Like-
just, unclogging my drain.
God,
Hideous fish mess.
it's so frightening.
What about
Out
all
of
the other
nowhere.
fish as well? I never thought about this. What about all the intelligent fish swimming around in the sea now? Like, where's Joe?
What's gonna? Yeah,
Because they
like,
must.
What do we do?
Do they still go back? Do they just stay in that like level of intelligence?
Yeah,
Is the shark running the game now?
because I thought what they might do is sprinkle a go back to being fish potion across the water.
They probably would do that.
And I hope that they do that, because who knows if the intelligent fish, if there's another intelligent fish similar to Joe that's down there, like who knows what they'll do. It's very frightening.
The crab could make his Nazi army and take over, because
exactly.
crabs can live on land.
Or the shark as well. The shark that gets stuck in that tube attached to the boat, like
The
how
tiny
is it
little boat.
shredded? God. But it's really frightening.
Yeah, because you think that it's over. They've got the potion, and then they open the door. The professor and the dad open the door, so obviously all of the water that's inside his lab floats out, and Fly is just about to take a sip of the potion, and it all drifts away, and you're like,
and then they do something that got me. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
I fell for it because I was like, hey, it's fucking Danish. I don't know what they're gonna be like. They won't stick to the rules of American movie making.
oh yeah, they don't care about the kids'
They don't
feelings.
give a shit. So, oh god, and it's heartbreaking regardless, even if you are like, oh come on, we all know what's going to happen. Because Chuck and Stella are fine, but they can't find Fly. They can't find him, and they walk through and they see a fly fish on the floor, and they pick it up, and Chuck is distraught.
Yeah, he's like
so
crying, screaming,
upset.
Fly, fly.
And it's so heartbreaking to watch, like it genuinely is.
Especially because at the beginning he really didn't like each other.
like each other.
Fly was kind of apathetic, but Chuck had a very strong disdain for Fly.
Yeah.
And then at the end he's like gutted.
Loves him.
Yeah.
Like it's really sweet. Oh, it's horrible. And then he's like, he won't let this fish go, and his mum is like, honey, give it to me. This fucking mum. Oh boy, can you imagine if it was actually a fly? Because she like grabs it, immediately drops it, steps on it, and you hear this like, and there's just a silence where you're like,
And then
fuck me.
Chuck's like,
No! And then the real human fly is obviously behind some boxes, and he's like, hey, can you hear me? Can somebody help me? And you're like, oh good, he's alive. But can you imagine
if she's squished,
she's
the real Fly.
It does cut to his parents, and they're like,
Yeah. It does the
"What?"
little cutaways like, the
fuck?
You stood on our
Son!
side. This useless aunt who like fell asleep and left the children to go and run out to the sea. So it's her fault really. And then
It
she
is her
kills Fly.
fault. And she kills Fly. Yeah, they did get me for a bit. I was like, maybe they have killed Fly. Like, I don't know.
It's really dark.
It's really dark.
Like this poor child fish being squished.
Because it's a lifeless fish, because it turns out to be the stuffed fish that we see earlier in the movie, Plant and Payoff.
Yeah.
And Chuck's putting it in this bowl of water, and it's just floating on the top. And you're like, oh my god, this is so sad.
It is tragic.
So sad. But yeah, I've really enjoyed watching it.
I enjoyed rewatch, and it's not too long as well.
No, it's like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's a really
perfect.
nice time to just watch this weird
And
film.
they get everything they need into it. Because I watched It Chapter 2 last night. It's 2 hours and 50 minutes long.
Do you know what though? Because I've read the book, and I'm not a big fan of Stephen King in terms of like I've read all his books and I've seen all the films and I know everything about him. I just really like that book, even though classic Stephen King goes on and on and on. And I loved the first one, a lot, and then I saw the second one and I was like, it's gone a bit cheesy American horror.
They didn't need that much in there. It was a lot of the same. A lot of the same with the first movie, a lot of the same with the second movie. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I saw it. But my god, was it long. If I'd have known it was going to be that long, I'd have brought more snacks.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I had no idea going in. By the end of it, I was like, how long have we been in here?
I think a lot of people didn't enjoy it for the length and just like how ridiculous it was.
Yeah.
But the concept in the book is just like you couldn't put it on a screen without people literally going, what the fuck?
Yeah,
So-
and they do warn you. They're like, oh, the ending's gonna be crap. Like, they warn you throughout the entire movie, and then the ending happens, and you're like, that was kind of crap. And the movie's like, hey, we warned you! You're like, fair enough.
But lots of jump scares, so...
Lots of jump scares, good jump
Creepy
scares,
clown.
and, like, Bill Skarsgård's doing great.
Lots of children get eaten, which is
Oh
horrible.
my god, so many children get eaten.
I was
Hate,
like, please
it opens with a
don't.
hate crime, like, not fun. But yeah, that was a side note to don't make your movies unnecessarily long, okay? Don't do it. 1 hour 15 is perfect.
For a kids' film as well.
Yeah.
Like, if you're taking your child to cinema, they're not going to last more than an hour and a half. Like, Mary Poppins was too long.
Oh god, it was way too long.
I was like, for God's sake, come on.
Get
Emily
on it.
Blunt.
Because it just,
Hurry up.
it bloats it. You end up having to bloat your movie, and nothing in here is bloated. Everything, they get to the point very quickly. It's interesting, because when I was on YouTube listening to the theme tune to the 90th time, it was like 1996, a fishtail pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like much worse animation than what we have in the movie, but exactly the same characters, but just slightly different. They end up going into this creepy house that turns out to be the professor's house.
Right.
And then they drink the potion and turn into fish, but then they've got the bottle with them.
Okay.
And it's leaking, and like that's how it gets through the
Accidentally.
shark. And that's all it really shows you, but it shows you that clearly this had been an idea of this had been going for quite a while until we get the final movie, which is Help, I'm a Fish.
Help! Exclamation point. I'm a fish.
Some of the jokes are so funny. There's an excellent line where Alan Rickman's like, Shark, you've become the new executioner. Eat this guy and then eat yourself.
Yeah.
And the shark's like, okay, wait, what?
What?
And he's like,
Yeah, civilised fish in a civilised society shouldn't have to eat themselves.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's really funny.
And he's not just, this almighty evil god fish, because the shark completely terrifies him. Because he's a shark.
Because he's a fucking shark, and he does turn on him, and the crab turns on him.
Yeah.
So he's not completely safe, and it's just. I'm not going to say surprisingly good, but I think we don't give credit. I mean, no one gives credits to kids' films anyway, unless they're like Renaissance Disney.
Shrek.
And Shrek. Fucking Shrek. And like, this is solid. It's genuinely good. Like,
and it's not. I'm not gonna say it's like a cult one that it's got like really quotable moments in it or anything like that.
No,
and it's not one like that's secretly for the parents.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
just
but
like-
it's just what it intends to be.
Yeah,
Like,
and I
it's-
don't think they make films. I don't think they make kids films like that anymore.
they don't.
They're
because-
not dark. They're not dark like that.
No, they don't take the same risks. And I say risks, they were quite formulaic, the movies in the 90s, but they worked, and they were interesting concepts, and they were good enough voice actors and good enough animation and good enough writers that they could come together. Whereas now everyone's like trying to like, oh, what do the kids want? They want this and they want that. And you're like, do they though? Do they actually want that? Or are you just forcing that on them? Because like, I think, I mean, what age group would you say this is for?
I'd probably say like 5 to. Well, kids' ages have changed so much now, but like.
So I would say like
5 to 8, 5 to 10, because
maybe
my
10,
sisters are 11, 12 and 13, and like they would not watch.
Oh, really?
Even like 2 years ago, they probably would have felt like this was too young for them.
Really?
I think so. But
See, that's so interesting.
like, because I
I
watched
enjoyed
it.
it as a 27-year-old.
Yeah,
Having not
I
had
watched
the nostalgia
it
as
when
a child.
I was in junior school, so it must have been like when I was 8 years old, around 8.
Yeah.
And I used to watch it in my bedroom, and I lived on the top floor of the house in like that. I had converted attic space, and I had a single bed with my little box TV with the
Nice.
VCR player in it. And my mum would come up and be like, okay, it's time for bed. And then she would go downstairs, and I would
Sure.
turn it back on with like volume 2 and like strain to hear it. And so many times I'd get caught, and she'd be like, what are you doing?
Classic.
I'm like, I'm watching this great film.
It's like that thing where you've like fallen asleep with your book open and your breathing is like because you're really trying to have that steady breathing that shows that you're asleep.
Yeah, but you can't.
You know, like, without a doubt, if you're a parent and you step on that step that makes the noise and you can suddenly hear the like and then you walk in and they're like I'm asleep. I'm sleeping so much. Like, they must have known.
That was me. I always wanted to stay up either reading, watching films. Did the same thing at my when I used to go to my dad's house. I'd wake up at like 4 or 5 in the morning some mornings and like creep, i.e. loudly crash down the stairs, go into the sitting room, which I would completely forget was like directly under their bedroom, and then put either Shrek, I'm Pushing Your Groove, or Finding Nemo. They were like my classic 3. And then my stepmom would just wake up and be like, she's watching the TV again. Probably gonna embarrass myself by saying this though, but I feel like it must be said that we've all had those characters that you like fancy as a child.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I big time fancied Fly.
Really?
I was like, this kid, what a cool, wise guy kid.
Yeah, he's kind of clever. He like uses Chuck's glasses to like pay, to like dupe the bus driver into letting them on for free.
Yeah, and he like totally scams Joe at the end into drinking the potion. What an idiot. And dying, yeah.
Or just
murders this man.
He literally does. Like, he's committed murder because he's human by that point. So it's like, Fly, you might want to go to a therapist, actually.
Yeah.
No, that's
Those kids are
completely fair enough. I'm too old now. I don't fancy children.
No. Yeah, funny enough, when I rewatched it, those same feelings didn't really come back, which I'm quite glad about.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that I saw that post bit on Facebook. I probably should credit it. So glad that I saw it, because I was like, oh my god, that film.
Yeah, and I remember the poster so distinctly and seeing it.
They're a cool poster
everywhere.
as well, like the
It's
fish shape with "Help, I'm a Fish" in the fish shape.
The like logo. It's really, really great.
And the voice actors, apart from like, you know, Aaron Paul, if he wasn't Breaking Bad / whatever else he's done, we wouldn't know him. We wouldn't really give a toss.
No.
But Alan Rickman and Terry Jones, like,
they're crushing
I'm surprised that they got them in there, really.
Yeah, same.
I wonder how much they paid
I wonder
them.
if it was like a studio agreement where they had to be in like a kids movie or something, or if they just genuinely were like, do you want...
Yeah.
And they were at the point in their lives where they were like, we have kids, we want our kids to be able to watch something that we're in.
And it's not like a samey concept, because I know Shark Tale came out, but it is completely different to Shark Tale. Like,
it is.
Shark Tale's got no humans in it.
Yeah, which is so good, because there was all those ones that were like Coral Reef that was clearly trying to be Shark Tale.
Oh my god,
and
my
stuff
brother
like
used to watch that all the time.
Isn't that funny?
That animation was so crap.
It was so awful.
It was so awful.
It was trying to be DreamWorks so hard.
Yeah.
But I think the animation for Shark Tale is terrible.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's terrifying.
The colours are nice though. Will Smith fish.
It's
Wow.
scary.
Angelina Jolie fish.
Sexy.
She was sexy.
Fish.
Those lips.
So weird.
And then is it Renee Zellweger plays the girl, the love interest, really, the actual love interest, with her like ugly ponytail fin,
pink ponytail fin.
But yeah, and it's a beautiful film, I think, really beautiful.
It is.
And like the nostalgia of the colours as well, like when they're fishing and the sky is like this orangey, pinky, and it's all getting a bit threatening with the waves coming in.
It's a shame now, because we have things like Finding Nemo, which was groundbreaking, and now I've got things like Moana, which has literally invented a new way to animate water. I worry that people wouldn't appreciate it, but it's like Ponyo, where it's just, when people used to animate water, there was still a beauty in it, even though they didn't have this like high-tech fucking...
Yeah.
Look,
they use a very like
water.
I don't really know how to explain it, but they use kind of like a glassy mirror finish to when they're underwater, so that whatever's in the background kind of shimmers.
Yeah, and it's really great.
And like I said, I just really like the contrast between that like kind of ugly, flat, bright, colourful 2D, and then this really like full of depth, beautiful animation.
CG,
like when she's saying goodbye to the horse, there's like they're standing on this huge panel of like broken glass. Yeah. And it's really stunning.
It's really cool. And there's like there's a bit where they have to find an octopus, and obviously like you can see it a mile off because you're an adult, but I could imagine you could get duped if you're a child. They're basically in what looks like the elephant graveyard from The Lion King, but underwater, and it's got the octopus is there in the background, but it's like almost skeletal and like covered in dust, so you don't quite see it to start off with, and that's really clever, and it's creepy, and
the massive
nicely animated
Titanic ship liner that's on that Joe lives in. Joe and the shark lives in.
With his like machine line of like sardines and salmon
packed
and stuff.
Sardines. Where did you get those from?
Yeah, like what the fuck, Joe?
And I was like, because they go past in like the fish bus, and there's this huge LED sign that has, and I was like, sorry, wait, what? How have they got LEDs at like the bottom of the ocean? Mm-hmm. And then you look and it's like glowfish.
Yeah, it's the fish, and they like
swivel on the board.
Swivel and to make a different pattern. It's very clever. It's very like imaginative. One thing I did notice was that I was so aware that it was Aaron Paul that I was so aware when it wasn't Aaron Paul. I don't know if you picked up on this, because then I looked in the IMDb and it said, like, additional dialogue for Chuck.
Really?
This person. Because there are moments where I'm like, that's someone trying to do an impression of what the kid is trying to sound like.
That's so interesting. Because I didn't know that. So I think if you knew beforehand, you'd listen out for it.
Yeah. Because there were just moments where I was like, was that Aaron Paul? Because he sounded really, really weird in that one scene. And then I looked and it wasn't. It was some other guy called like Tracy or something.
Tracy.
And I imagine it was sort of like reshoots maybe, or they put in like additional scenes for the UK release, and then just like had to redub it at the last minute. But it's probably because I'm a massive nerd and I'm like, I like pay attention to these things. But like, yeah, I was like really aware of it, that I was like, that's not the same voice actor that was in the previous scene.
It was weird knowing that it was Aaron Paul, because I was very much trying to connect the voice to his current voice. But then I guess to me, his current voice is Jesse.
Yeah.
Which is quite a distinct character voice. So I couldn't connect Chuck to him, really.
It's so
interesting.
interesting.
Still just Chuck to me. Fly!
Yeah, which is really good, because you don't want to see Jesse in glasses underwater as a jellyfish.
As a jellyfish.
But he's also in BoJack Horseman, if you watch that, which is animated, and he plays Todd. So I was expecting him to sound like Todd, and for me to see Todd as this jellyfish with glasses. But again, I mean, he was obviously a kid when he did this, so he obviously sounds different, but... yeah, just really, if you're listening, Aaron Paul, well done. Good job.
Great voice acting, Aaron Paul.
Back when you were like probably like 12, 14.
But yeah, he's kind of got, the voice has kind of got like a scratchy teenage quality to it, so I feel like he probably wasn't a child when he recorded
and
it. And
I like that he sounds like he's trying to do like a nerd voice.
Yeah.
Well, Fly is doing the like cool voice.
Yeah. Fly's got that kind of like, yeah, I'm just a cool American teen next door
all
voice.
Around.
And then Stell's like, Fly, I'm thirsty.
I'm a girl and I'm a baby.
She's quite annoying at the start, actually. Yeah, and then I'm like, nah, you're cute. You're not really cute.
Sasha. But yeah, no, it's solid. I would recommend, if you have kids, show it to them. Force them to like the 2D animation again.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Frozen 2 looks amazing, but like, this is great. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope you had a good time.
I did. It's been so good rehashing that movie.
Yeah,
I hope it can be spread to a wider audience.
100%.
And Aaron Paul hears this and tweets about it, and we all get to watch it again.
I might include him in a tweet, I'm not even gonna lie. No, it's so good. I'm so glad that I've had an excuse to watch it. It's on YouTube and it's an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, full movie.
So like,
free.
just watch it, man. Like, it's just, it's a romp. Like, it is. It's a great adventure little musical
Let's
movie.
get Help I'm a Fish, the theme song, onto the number one, you know.
Yes!
Billboard.
Back where it belongs. Oh my god. So, do you have anything to plug? Where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on my Twitter, Lucy Oglesby, Lucy X Oglesby.
Yeah, I think you've got an X in there.
There's something in there.
Random.
Or on Instagram if you want to see pictures of my face.
Hey, aren't you a fashion model?
So I've just started doing a fashion page to keep me busy whilst I am back up north for a little bit. But yeah, so if you'd like to follow me on that, it's Lucy Hannah 6. Much appreciated.
It's very nice. She takes a good old photo, this one, which is good.
Thank you.
She's good at the Insta. She gets it. She gets the people in. As usual, you can find me, Emily Slade, on Twitter at EmilySlade01. You can find me on Instagram at EmilySlade001. You can find Why This Film on Twitter at Why This Film. You can find us on Instagram at Why This Film. We're on Facebook at Why This Film Podcast. And you can email into us at whythisfilmpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time on Why This Film. Bye!
We watched the
film and we talked about it, but now it's time to say goodbye. We'll be back again with another movie that makes you wanna ask why.